Oh, okay.
Cute too. Your fault.
Yeah, I know it's my fault. That's why I'm saying sorry.
I'm gonna find out where you work and you're gonna lose your job
Where
for
I work,
saying
maybe I
that.
get paid by the government.
You can't say that word.
Really?
Be prepared to be amazed as Karen's outrageous and unpredictable behavior takes a wild turn, resulting in instant karma that you won't believe. Watch as their crazy actions quickly unravel, leading to a dramatic and satisfying backfire in real time. This is one video you won't want to miss. Let's start with this Karen. When anger clouded her mind. The incident happened on August 22nd, 2018 at a 7-Eleven supermarket in Florida. An argument between two women caused chaos in the store. It all started with a small argument. According to the information provided during the argument, the white woman, also known as Karen, had racist actions and attitudes. Because of this issue, the argument escalated. Initially, the argument only stopped at the two people arguing loudly with each other. The video was recorded when the two people were arguing at the door and the black woman stopped and walked away. For normal people, when they saw the other person stop arguing, they would also stop to avoid affecting everyone, but Karen only cared about herself. Karen shouted in the middle of the store with a sarcastic tone, "Black Lives Matter." And this made the black woman turn around and point at Karen's face to tell her to shut up. The black woman repeatedly told her to go back to her work and not to mess with her, but when she saw the black woman turn around, Karen continued to yell at her. The climax of the transformation was when Karen saw herself being pointed at and went crazy, she rushed over and slapped the woman in the face. Karen immediately received retribution.
Oh, it's the park lot right here.
That's the one right there.
Go back to
Look, bro.
you was doing it. Get the fuck back to my face.
A painful slap to the face made Karen stagger, followed by a push that made Karen fall against the counter, and the black woman continuously hit Karen in the head. Immediately after that, Karen was dragged outside and received 2 more punches that made her fall backwards. Karen was beaten and no one in the store came to her defense because they all knew her actions had caused this retribution. Even the witnesses laughed and cheered because they all recognized that this was what she deserved. Karen was beaten in shame and humiliation. Karen was beaten but could not argue back.
You talking about somebody all up to come to my, they just want to find you. So go back to
Look, bro.
you was doing it. Get the fuck back to my
In this case, both of their actions violated the law. Under Florida statutes, chapter 877.03 defines disorderly conduct as conduct that causes a disturbance, disturbs the public peace, or disturbs the peace of others. Such conduct may include shouting, smashing, or engaging in violent or unlawful acts that cause a public disturbance. The shouting and arguing between Karen and the black woman violated this. Under this law, disorderly conduct can be prosecuted as a first-degree misdemeanor. This is the most common punishment for disorderly conduct. The maximum sentence that can be imposed is 1 year in prison and a fine of up to $1,000. In Florida, unarmed fighting, also known as battery, can be prosecuted under a variety of different laws depending on the severity and factors involved. The Florida statutes, chapter 784.03, according to this law, if the fighting is likely to cause injury or has aggravating factors, the violator can be charged with a Class I felony. The fighting between the two women violated this law. The black woman, especially because if Karen hits her once and she hits back, it could be considered self-defense, but the next time she hits Karen, it could be considered a battery. This would make it difficult for her if Karen files a lawsuit. The maximum penalty for this law is up to 1 year in jail and a $1,000 fine. All right, this case was wild, but still not the worst one. Just wait until you see this next one. The footage begins on June 28th, 2020, in a quiet suburban neighborhood in California, under the cover of night. A woman dressed in pajamas and seemingly barefoot appears on her front lawn. It is early morning, around 3:30 a.m. The quiet of the neighborhood is broken by loud voices, indicating an argument is underway. Her frustration is evident as she points at her neighbors, accusing them of making noise. The footage captures her screaming, her agitation evident in her tone and body language. Even the woman appeared to be very angry, directing her anger at those she believed were responsible for disturbing her peace. In the midst of the argument, she returned home declaring her intention to retrieve her phone. It suggests that she planned to record the confrontation, a common tactic in disputes where individuals seek to have evidence of the interaction. However, the situation became problematic when the barefoot woman began using racial slurs. Despite her white neighbor, she repeatedly used the N-word, a term that has historically been loaded with racial hatred and derogatory connotations. Her choice of words in this context was both shocking and confusing.
You're moving because it's illegal at this hour. Please record your moving furniture. Record your man. Record your man moving furniture. Hang on, I'm gonna get my camera to record you in your robe.
Good.
But you've been screaming since what time? You just moved in. You just moved in.
Yeah, you're the one that had the
are
police.
Making a scene.
Throughout the heated exchange, the woman continued to use racial slurs against her neighbors. The repeated use of this derogatory term, regardless of the race of her neighbors, highlights a troubling aspect of her thinking. It is a clear example of how ingrained prejudices can manifest even in seemingly unrelated conflicts. One of the neighbors filming the encounter responded by confronting the woman about her use of a racial slur. The neighbor questioned the woman's right to use such language, expressing shock and outrage. The moment highlights the cognitive dissonance and impact of derogatory language in public disputes. The woman's response was equally inflammatory. She dismissed her neighbor's concerns with further insults, suggesting that the racial slur she used was somehow valid regardless of her neighbor's actual racial background. This twisted logic only exacerbated the tension. As the argument continued, the barefoot woman threatened to call the police, adding a legal dimension to the confrontation. This threat suggests that disputes can escalate beyond personal and racial insults to involve law enforcement.
Dude,
You're
oh
honey.
my god.
Do you think because you're not
Alright.
brown, you're not
What the f is wrong with you?
waking me up at 4 cops?
Good, call him.
Are you getting in your car drunk, bro? Or are you high on meth?
Hi, and Matt, that's you. You're the one with no teeth.
In California Penal Code 415 criminalizes disorderly conduct. Specifically in section 415.3, disturbing the peace by shouting or making noise is defined as conduct that involves shouting, making unnecessary or unreasonable noise or actions that affect the peace of a public area. This conduct involves the use of vulgar, offensive, or inflammatory language in a public space that affects the peace and order of the area. The use of racially discriminatory language during an argument violates the framework of this law. Violating section 415 is considered a misdemeanor and can be punished by a fine of to $1,000 and or a maximum jail term of 90 days depending on the seriousness of the incident. All right, let's move to this next case where things might get even messier. It all started on October 5th, 2019, a normal Sunday morning in New York City. A Lyft driver with a female passenger in the backseat found himself at the center of a dramatic road rage encounter. This was no ordinary case of road rage, it was a confrontation that would soon become a viral phenomenon. The woman, now known online as Kids Bop Karen, was furious. The incident began when the Lyft driver cut her off. According to the video, the driver immediately apologized, but this did not appease her rage. And instead of accepting the apology and moving on, Kids Bop Karen escalated the situation. She directed her anger at the Lyft passenger, who was just sitting in the back seat. In a bizarre twist, she demanded an apology from the passenger, claiming that her driver almost hit her child.
You're cute too.
I'm sorry, really sorry.
You are?
No, it's my
It
fault.
is your fault.
Yeah, I know it's my fault. That's why I'm saying sorry. Eh?
She thinks it's cute that her
Apologize.
It's my fault.
He
It's my
apologized.
fault. Yeah, I know. It's
and
my
you know what? That didn't upset me.
The woman's confrontation was filled with swearing and disbelief. She even went so far as to stick her tongue out at the passenger. Her venomous words left many wondering about her frustration. But what really made this criticism stand out was the unique Kids Bop Karen word choice. When the Lyft passenger claimed that her children, who were supposedly in the car, witnessed the chaos, the angry driver had a rather unexpected response.
To do is apologize instead of being a
You're calling me sorry, but you're calling me a bitch. Set an example.
I'm sorry. My kids can't hear me calling you a
Your window's open.
They can't hear me because they're listening to Kids Bop. Attitude?
It's
Sucks.
okay.
In New York Penal Law Section 240.20, this law defines public nuisance as conduct that intentionally causes a disturbance in a community or public place. This can include yelling, cursing, or otherwise making a loud, annoying noise. Karen's insults and verbal abuse of the woman and the driver caused a public disturbance. This puts her in violation of this law. With her actions, Karen may face many legal charges. That's the final. If you have any stories or experiences about neighborhood conflict and how it was resolved, we would love to hear from you. Share your story and join the conversation. Remember to like and subscribe to be one of the first to receive news.